Hello, I'm Andrew Thomas Price and welcome to my channel. Now, around 2,000 years ago, someone you may have heard of called Jesus Christ sat down at a table with his disciples and drank from a cup. And that cup has become known as the Holy Grail. Now, I'm not saying this is the exact cup that Jesus Christ drank from, but this is a grail, and these have become incredibly popular in the world of bushcraft and outdoor activities. So I thought I'd try one out and see what all the fuss is about. Now today I'm testing out the Grayl Geopress. Now this is the largest of the two models that Grayl produce, the other being the Ultra Press. And this version will hold 710 millilitres of purified water. So it has a flow rate of 5 litres a minute, which is pretty impressive. Probably the fastest commercial hand-pumped filter on the market today. And that seems to be why it's so popular. Now I'll be testing it out in conjunction with this Pathfinder Geopress nesting cup, which has been designed by Dave Canterbury himself, and this thing is built like a tank. And the whole thing goes inside here. So the Pathfinder cup can be used for drinking out of and also for cooking in. So a very useful setup to have in conjunction with the filter itself. Now I could sit here and talk about this all day, but that's not what you've come to watch, is it? So I'm going to put this in here. And I'm going to take this and find some really, really filthy water, and I'm going to drink it. Now, I know this looks very pretty, but I've been trying to find the most dirty water I can find in my woods, and this is it. And you can't smell it, but I can. And it really does stink, so yeah, this'll do. The Grayl will filter any fresh water, and by fresh I mean not salty, so apart from the sea, just about anything is fair game, and that includes ponds, ditches, rivers, streams, creeks, you name it. Now, this will purify 99.99% of viruses, including hepatitis A. It will also remove things like bacteria, 99.9% of bacteria, and protozoa, things like giardia. So it will get rid of most of those things that you'd worry about in a wilderness environment, but it will also remove heavy metals like lead and some chemicals like chlorine, and of particular concern nowadays are microplastics. So you definitely don't want to be ingesting those, and this will remove those, so it's a great filter for that. Now, what I'm concerned about with a filter like this is blocking up the filter prematurely. So I'm going to use a pre-filter, which will just be my bandana here, and that will filter out any leaves or sediment that might clog up the filter more quickly. I'm going to use the Pathfinder Geopress nesting cup just to collect some of this water to show you how filthy this is. And I can also use this as part of my pre-filter, which will extend the life of the Geopress filter itself. So you can see the water, it's full of leaves, it's full of rotting twigs and all sorts of things. There's probably some dead frogs in there as well. And I'm just going to get a nice scoop of it. So try and get the cleanest water you can. But even while being careful, you can see that is quite disgusting. And it really does smell bad as well. Now, it does mention on the Grayl website that tannins, which are created by rotting wood and leaves and things like that, can shorten the life of the filter. So ideally we want to get the water that is the least brown stained that we can find. You are going to have to take my word for it that this water stinks, but it's got this sort of sulphurous, eggy smell which is not very pleasant. Now, looking at it, you can see how brown that is. That's all the tannins from all the decomposing wood, leaves, frogs, everything else that's floating around in this pond. So if I drank this as it is, I'm fairly certain I'd be on the toilet for at least 3 days, and I've got a lot to do, so I don't want that. So what I'm going to do first of all is pre-filter this. I'll just use this head over, and what this does is remove any large pieces of sediment, bits of stick, anything that's floating around in the water, anything that can be removed with this very coarse filter. So I just put this over here, put it tight, just like this. Okay, doesn't have to be tied on, that'll do the job. It's got quite a bit of tension on it there. You can see that's pulled right over the top of the container, and that will allow me now to pour it very easily into there. So In order to use the Grayl, we first of all have to remove the filter element here. Now, anyone that's ever used an AeroPress coffee filter will know how this system works. So this is where the dirty water will go. So I'll put that there for the moment. And this is the filter element. So it has a filter which will remove all the viruses, all sorts of pathogens, bacteria, protozoa, but it also has a carbon filter. Now the carbon filter will help to remove chemicals, including things like chlorine, and it will also remove a lot of those really unpleasant flavors like this sort of egginess that we've got in the water here. So hopefully this water will taste a lot better than it smells. So here we go. Now I'll put this up here. I want to keep this clean, and I take my Pathfinder cup with my pre-filter pulled over the top here. And what I need to do now is to just pour this water into here. So you can see that water is still quite brown, but a lot of those bits of stick, leaves, etc. are being filtered out. Now, there is a line in here. So there's a line marked on the inside of this container, which is the fill mark that we want to go up to. So it's a little bit like a pot noodle. Just fill it up to that point. Put that down there. Then we take the filter element, and the important thing here is that we turn this valve, so this allows the air out, and I turn that from the orange dot there right around to the green dot. So you have this little arrow here. Then I put the filter element onto the top, and it has these very nice orange rubber grips here which give you something to push down on. So I start to push down here. Now there's quite a bit of resistance, so even though this will filter 5 litres in a minute with roughly a 10 second fill time, I don't really want to force it too hard. So I'm just kind of putting gentle weight down on this, and I can hear that air being expelled through the valve there. There we go, almost down. And just keep going until we get to the bottom. There you go, so that's reached the bottom there. So now all I need to do is undo the top here. There's no bad smell, it's a good start. And if I put some of this on my hand, you can see that water is already looking a lot clearer. So as they say, the proof of the pudding. Let's see how this water tastes. Wow, there's no unpleasant taste at all. That tastes just like fresh water. So all that nasty eggy smell has long gone. And I would trust that with my life.